For 107 standard years, the brightest minds in the galaxy had stared at a knot of light they could not untie. It floated in the infinity's hall of the axial spire, an impossible tangle of symbols and tensors called the maelstrom equation. Solve it, and the collapsing star lanes across the Perseid arm could be stabilized. Fail, and the gate network would keep shearing ships into whispering debris. The council called it the equation that eats empires. Entire species had taken their turn. None had succeeded. When the human stepped into the hall, the lights dimmed as if to regard her more closely. She was small by galactic standards, compact rather than imposing, wrapped in a dark jacket scuffed at the elbows and carrying, of all primitive things, a stick of chalk. The biologist scanners tagged her with a warning glyph, DETHW or LDR. The assessment text scroll beneath, cognitive profile exceeds 250 on human IQ scale, NOMA index 9.6, hazard highly contextual. The delegates whispered, scales and feathers and photonic skins rustling with doubt. Dr. Amara Saeed of Earth, announced Archivist Thal, voice echoing beneath an arch of carved primes. You asked for 5 minutes alone with the problem. Amara glanced up at the hovering equation, exhaled, and corrected him. 7. And a wall. A wall extruded from the floor. The hall's projection surfaces could mimic any texture in the galaxy. She chose matte stone with just enough tooth to bite chalk. When she pressed the white stub to it, the aliens flinched at the squeak. Noise never bothered a species raised on thunder. Every of the spiral collegium extended a silky tendril. Dr. Saeed, please understand, we have thrown sentient clouds and crystal mines at this. The maelstrom equation encodes a 12th-order nonlinear tensor field over a manifold of negative curvature. It resists every reduction. Amara's smile was the kind that showed too many teeth for comfort. It resisted every polite reduction. She set the timer on her wrist and began. The first line she wrote wasn't a symbol. It was a sketch. A jagged coastline, a series of loops, a rough predator's jaw. Then came the symbols, pouring like rain, reparameterizations of the field along extremal geodesics, a savage little substitution that shaved an index off an obstinate term, and, without ceremony, a wholesale flipping of the boundary conditions. She moved fast, not with the frail velocity of inspiration, but with the practiced speed of someone who had outrun storms. The hall's verification lattice woke, threads of audit light tracing each step of the proof. It kept up for 30 seconds before lagging. Archivist Thal frowned. We can slow the projection, Doctor. Don't, she said. The equation doesn't deserve gentleness. The maelstrom equation had been assembled by committees of long-lived species who adored elegance. They had imposed symmetries because symmetries were beautiful. They had assumed continuity because continuity made the math sing. They treated the universe like a polite ballroom. But Earth had taught Amara her first axiom: the universe behaves until it doesn't. She struck at the heart of the failure, a term the others had smoothed away as noise. To them it was an annoyance. To her it was a familiar snarl, the sort of cross-coupling that turned Pacific storms into city killers. She circled it, labeled it gamma, and scrawled in block letters, "Don't average the teeth." Minutes ticked. She rewrote the flux map of the gate's throat as a predator, prey system, then inverted it as if the prey had learned to bite back. She sliced the 12th-order tensor into a family of piecewise stable 10th-order cousins, ugly, yes, but survivable, stitched with shock-tolerant seams. Where the others had smoothed, she left deliberate roughness. Deadfall margins, fail-open paths, sacrificial subspaces that could tear without propagating failure. Every step bored deeper into the equation's bones. Evriel leaned toward Thal. She's introducing entropy? Thal's pupil ring tightened. She is allocating it. Amara halted, frowning at a stubborn cluster of terms. Her chalk hovered. On Earth, standing on the lip of a hurricane model, she had learned the second axiom: if you can't predict a wave, build a hull that forgives your mistake. She pulled a trick no one else had dared. She injected a bounded noise term, a controlled jitter that scrubbed out catastrophic resonance by forbidding perfect synchrony. In the gate's throat, that meant the difference between a choir and a stampede. The verification lattice groaned, then chimed, then accelerated as if relieved the path existed. The knot of light in the center of the hall began, almost imperceptibly, to loosen. Amara checked her timer. 2 minutes left, she murmured, and went hunting for the last lie. There it was, tucked where elegance had hidden it, an assumption that the gate's boundary played fair, that it remained on the nigh side of a bifurcation as long as you bribed it with energy. She slashed it out and replaced it with a human constant she called H, not for plank but for habit, the habit of things to break in the worst possible way at the worst possible time. She then optimized not for maximum flux, but for minimum regret, and the path through the maelstrom blinked into being, like a narrow trail through avalanche country. The hall felt quiet. Her chalk clacked against the wall one last time. She underlined the final expression, a compact, brutal cure that wouldn't win prizes for prettiness, but would keep ships alive. The verification lattice lit every strand green. Submines that had mocked organics for centuries pinged confirmation. The knot of light in the center unspooled into a navigable corridor, shimmering with safe attractors. Amara clicked off her timer. 7 minutes and 19 seconds.